Just press the wrong button. Okay. Okay, let's do this here. Hold on 1 second. Press the wrong button. What do I want to do? Oh, this is what I want to do. Okay. Okay, here we go. So according to this, we can understand what it means, Boel Paro, come to Paro, the source of Paro, the source of holiness. And so to speak, for a thing to come down so low, it has to have a very high source. So, so God is saying to Moses, come with me to Paro. Maybe we can say it a little bit of a different way, right? There's things in this world which we see are good, which we see that are good. But according to Chassidut, according to what we're learning, that what God is incomprehensible. We can't understand what God is. So God is something it's too good to be revealed. So when God is revealed, like on Mount Sinai, it says everybody died. Death is a bad thing. Death is a bad thing. It was too intense. Too intense. So it ends up, God creates everything. For God to create good things, that's revealed godliness. When God creates bad things, that's concealed godliness. So that means what? Bad things are really good. What does it mean? Somehow or other, the lesson that's going to come out of it is good. Somehow the lesson that's going to come out of bad, when you get to its source, is something which is infinitely good. It's what do you say, such a transforming power for good. On the other hand, if you don't take the lesson, then it's terrible. That's what makes a test. There's famous speeches for the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, because he was put into communist prison and he was sentenced to death, and he was supposed to have been killed. It was a very terrible time then in the 20s, right, the 1920s, when Stalin was like in full power, 20s and the 30s, and he was just killing people right and left. He was just killing, and he hated the religious people especially. And the previous Rebbe, but nevertheless, the previous Rebbe said, if you would give me all the money in the world to relinquish 1 minute of the experience I had in prison, I wouldn't give it to you. He said, if you would give me all the money in the world to go back there into prison to sit even for 1 minute, I wouldn't take it. It was such a terrible torture. But if you would give me all the money in the world to give up 1 moment of the experience that I had, I also wouldn't give it. Because it was so intense that it can't be explained. In some way, that's what God was saying to Moses. I want to take you to the source of evil, to show you what is good in things that are obviously terrible. In the Zohar, in this week's Torah portion, it explains the idea of Boel Paro, come to Paro, Kafishu Paro Lamata, how it is in evil. The Zohar doesn't, another place it explains that Paro was really, the source of it is holy. But this Zohar also explains what is the idea of evil in the world, how evil can oppose good. So it says like this, Makativ Bo, what does it say? What is it, Makativ? What does it say? Boel Paro, come to Paro. What does it mean? God is saying, come to Paro. It says in the Zohar. Makes no sense. Lechel Paro, meboeloi. It should say, go to Paro. Moses, God told Moses, go to the Jewish people, tell them, right? Go. What does it mean? In other places, it does say, go to Paro, lechel Paro. In the beginning, it says, go to Paro and tell Paro, in my name, God's name, my son, my firstborn, my chosen ones, the Jewish people, let them go. Go to Paro. All of a sudden, here he's saying, come to Paro. What does it mean, come? My boy, what does it mean, come? Come with me to Paro? God took Moses. He elevated him, Idrin bata Idrin, chamber after chamber, Lagabi Tanina Chada, to one serpent, Ilah, supernal high serpent, Tekifa that's powerful, the kama dargin mishtalshalin mine, and many levels of evil come from it. Uman ihu, what is this? Raza the tanin gadol. This is the secret of the great serpent. Moshe dechil mine, and Moses was afraid of it. Below kariv, and he didn't come close. Ela legabe, didn't want to come close. Ela legabe inan yorin, he could only come close to these lights that come from it. Of a legabe, but regarding the source, this upper, the great serpent, great source of evil, dachil, he's afraid. Moses was afraid. Below karov, and he didn't come. Begin because the chamele, he saw mishorsha b'shorsha ilo, he saw the upper source. Even the chama, since that Moses saw the dachil Moshe, that Moses was afraid. V'shalchan v'shalichan mi manan acharinin la'ela lo yachol lakaber, about that no other powers could come to this upper source of godly of evil. Omar Kodesh Baruch Hu, God said, Hine alecha Paro Melech Mitzrayim. He says, here is Paro, the king of Egypt, Tatani Nagadol, the great serpent, Harovitz Tachat Yaoro, which is that was in this last week's Torah, half Torah. It's a sentence from where? From Yechezkel. This is last week's Torah. The Kodesh Baruch Hu, God said, Atstrich la'agacha be korva v'lo acher. God has to make a war with him and no one else. Like it says, Ani Hashem, I am God. So when he kolomer, in other words, shebegalal atokef, that's a meklipa, because the power, the tremendous evil of Paro, that he is the great serpent, the beito, in his house, when he is in his castle, the castle of the king, that he's in his place. So the Paro, the evil, is in his place. As Pachad Moshe, Moshe was afraid. The Knesset allowed to go there. Therefore, God did not say go to Paro alone. Shaliach levad, you'll be a shliach. Ela bo el Paro, but to come to Paro. Sheyavok yachad, they will come together with God. V'yakanas the Paro, and it will go with the Paro. Okay, does this make sense? We'll see. God is talking to Moses, so if he's talking to him, it must mean that there is God is he makes himself into a thing, so to speak. So God said, this same thing, my wisdom, my ideas, is going to go with you to Paro. Kodesh Baruch Hu machnis also. So Kodesh Baruch Hu forced him, took him together, el penimis, to the inside and the essence of the klippa of the evil of Paro. Idrin bater Idrin, like it says, chamber after chamber. Chadarim b'finim b'chadarim, rooms after rooms, in order the kavsho lagamri, in order to conquer him totally. The fizeh, according to this, one second, let me see where. Okay, the fizeh, according to this, we have to understand, what does it mean? Come to Paro of holiness. Hey, Rebbe says, I just explained in the previous paragraph that the source of Paro is really holy. And in the Zohar, it says the source of Paro was such a tremendous level of evil that no one can come close to it. God had to come with, take Moses, hold Moses' hand, so to speak, and come with it. Paro was the source of his holiness, or what's going on? But Nogea Paro, regarding the holy source of Paro, is Eich Shayach. Why would it be relevant to say that Moses was afraid? Moses Yefached, that Moses was afraid to go in. She's the kek lekach, that God would take him to Paro. Why was Moses afraid? Yesh Lomer Abira, we can explain like this. Paro of holiness is Gilui, that such a tremendous revelation of godliness. Hein be'etzem Gilui, whether God's essence is revealed, Gilui Kol Oros, revealing all of the lights of God, Kol Oros, even the highest levels of God's emanations, like we talked about in the previous thing, the Sphirot, is all of the lights of God and all the flames of God. Ad Gam, until Kol Mat Havisas, and everything that was concealed. whether in a way, whether it was concealed or whether it was a way that was revealed. The revelation of these lights is just too powerful. But often this periu, Malashan Parua, in a way of periu means to be revealed, but Parua also means to be scattered, to be confused. Namely, we can say it means things which are above any sort of order. Okay, that's Paro of holiness. Paro of holiness, we're saying, is so holy that it can't be put into any vessels. It can't be put into any order. It can't. It's unbearably holy, and even more. That what it says that there was revealed from the holiness of God, the holy source of Paro. All this is only from God's essence and God's very, they say, quintessence, God's very being. That's the source of all revelations. Language of the Zohar, Beit Paro. This is the language. This is the place from which are revealed all of the lights of God, and God Himself brings out these lights. So, if so, the source of Paro is good. Certainly, it's the best. The source of Paro is bad. Of course, it's bad. So, which one? Now we're going to discuss this. It says the source of Paro in holiness comes from a source which is totally, how do you say, let's see, how do I want to say it? Which is, I'm trying to think of a word. The source of godliness is one which is uncontainable, uncontainable, undefinable. From it comes all existence, such pure existence that it itself cannot be defined or categorized as existence. Existence comes from it. That in this place, and this is the place where the king himself is found, and he's revealed in all of his essence. That all lights, mitzad atzmam, on their own, every light of godliness is mugdar, can be defined begidro in its definition, the tziro evagiloi, and the way that it is revealed. But called darga b'hamshacha ba'or, and every type of revelation of light is drawn down in an orderly way. Begiloi, or in this real light, is on its own, but often shall giloi the seder b'draga. Light is something of God which is organized, ordered, like the creation, the world, even the spiritual worlds. All these Kabbalistic books, they write about the order of the upper worlds, the sphirot and the lights and the vessels, etc. But the source of this is something which is totally beyond any sort of order or definition. Moving so it's understood, in order that there could be revealed all of these lights, everything that's concealed in a way that is totally open. Et prio means open. So this has to come from God's essence. That this is the source, so to speak, of all lights that there are. I mean, even to say that God is the source is also sort of defining Him. So it's also not understandable. Well, Beleshin Zohar, like the Zohar says in our Torah portion, Etzem the Paro, the essence of Paro, the Kama, Dargin, Mishtalshlim, that everything comes from it. So together with this source, the Maila, it's totally above any sort of limitation. So that's something like death. Death means when a person is alive, his soul functions in an orderly way in his body. The mind has the intellect, the heart has the emotions, etc. But when a person dies, so his soul is not limited, it's not defined in any way. So if so, on one hand, it's pure soul. On the other hand, it's pure bad. It says that's the idea of Paro. The Paro is the source, representing the source of all lights which will come for this. So now we can understand why Moses was afraid, because it was too holy. And this we're going to talk about, God willing, tomorrow. We'll start from here tomorrow. Hope to remember it. But and now we'll do the Yom Yom. Stop the share.